Isa Rainer, I think is the name. Isamu Himura is the actual name. Um, Isa, or Isamu, is the producer of the documentary Nowhere Man. And I met him when I checked into his hostel on Western Avenue, this shitty ghetto-ass hostel that's more like it's more like a halfway house than it is a hostel, and that's what the guests say about it. So I checked into the hostel. I got to know Isamu, and we became friends. And at some point, he was working as a private investigator, and he said, "Hey, do you want to go on this job with me?" And so we went to some concert at the Staples Center, and he had to go down and take photographs of a man and woman that were on the floor and blah, blah, blah. And so, we got to talking, and I said I was going to make this movie, and he was, working for a man named Michael Joseph, which is Blue Systems private investigation firm. And I said, well, hey, I want to make a movie about this MBVR. And, he gets Michael on the phone, and we talk about it. He starts telling me, oh, yeah, we're making a TV show. It's a TV show for CBS. And he, so it turns out he's an actor, or he's an aspiring actor, and he's working on some project with this guy, Chris Gray, who was a casting director that did an extra casting director that casted all these big movies at some point. I guess at one point he was a big deal. Today I don't know what he is. So anyway, he seemed like he had some stuff going on, and he said, hey, well, let's serve these people you want to sue on this TV show we're making. And I said, well, I don't really want to participate in any show, like, is it a real show? Oh, yeah, CBS. So I say, well, what would really help me is if I could get my studio open and if I could get to work on my film. That's really all I need to do. And he's like, well, I'll fund your film. I'll help you pay for your studio and fund your film. So in the meantime, I've run out of money, and so I start doing work around the hostel. And he says, okay, all you gotta do is take out the trash and do some other things, and as long as you do that, you can stay here. And so everything was set in stone. So one day everything just comes to a head. So I'm kind of doing my thing, cleaning at the hostel. We're supposed to meet at 4:00. We're supposed to go rent my studio. And like I said, up until this point, everything was absolutely 100% fine. And then all of a sudden, I went down to the store to get some food. And I got a text that said, we've rented your bed out. You have to go. 5:30 at night. And I had done enough time where I'd put 10 more days paid for the hostel. And so I shouldn't have had been asked to leave. And so I didn't really put up a fight. I just went back to the hostel and I gathered up my stuff, and I ended up out, I slept on the street that night. And I filmed it. I have it all on my iPhone. And so the next day I'm trying to find a place to go. I head out to Malibu because I know some people out there, and I didn't run into them. And the next thing you know, I'm on this bus. And then I'm in a bus accident. This crazy situation that happened on a bus. I get injured. I end up in the hospital. And, and this whole time, Isamu's telling me, oh, I'm going to send you some money. I'm going to send you some money to, help you get a place and all this. And I said, okay. And then he didn't send the money. And then next thing you know, he's bullying me, sending me these messages telling me I have Down syndrome, and he's calling me a retard and all this crazy stuff. And so then I end up talking to Michael Joseph, this private investigator, and it turns out Isamu's not even a private investigator. He has no private investigator's license. So it just, he just, the whole situation's crazy. I mean, there's virtually nothing that happened that led up to this other than I ended up homeless because of him and ended up in that bus accident, and I got hurt really bad. And I told him flat out, I said, this is breach of contract. I'm going to sue you for this. And, and Next thing you know, I'm producing a documentary called Nowhere Man about this troll, and I'm a stalking victim. And no, he's not. Isamu is probably one of the biggest shitbag people I've ever met in Los Angeles. And for real, that's saying something. I mean, especially when you consider many of the people that inhabit Los Angeles. He is probably, quite possibly, the biggest low-life shitbag that I've ever met. I mean, he is just absolutely, I don't know. I mean, he's running pilot schemes. He's telling people he's making shows for networks. He's got this huge, scheme going on. Michael Joseph said flat out he is absolutely not working with any network, and there's nothing involved. And so I don't know what his deal is. I think he's just an opportunist, and he wants in on this documentary just so he can bully me. But ultimately, there was nothing that led up to me leaving this hostel, other than everything got busy, and he wanted to make an extra $23, and me having a place to sleep and the money he owed me for my work, it didn't matter.